Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurfa Shahira Seriga binti Muhammad Chandi Seriga. My metric number is F18A0169. My final year project title is Consumption Pattern of Milk and Dairy Products Among Different Income Levels in Rural, Town and City Areas of Sabah, Malaysia during COVID-19 outbreaks. Background of study. Domestic milk production in Peninsula Malaysia is growing at relatively slow rate, whereas demand for milk has increased by approximately fourfold with both 2011 and 2017. In 2011, milk production was recorded at 25.4 million liters and it steadily grew to 36.6 million liters. Meanwhile, milk consumption climbed by 44.1 million liters during the same time. Milk is not only used to make milk drinks, but it is also utilized to make a variety of other products. Milk is high in nutrients that are required by people of all ages, including children, adolescents, and even adults. The findings of this study can provide insight into the factors that influence the consumption of milk and dairy products, as well as distinct knowledge about the variance in eating behavior of milk product among the people of Sabah who live in different parts of the state. Problem statement. Dairy farm business will be benefit from this study because it will provide them with information on the current situation of milk consumption in the state of Sabah. With this, it will be possible to boost the production of milk and dairy product in order to meet the demands and aspirations of consumers. Moreover, this research contribute to the government goal of increasing production while lowering costs, increasing the income of farmers through the efficient utilization of resources, and reducing the reliance on unskilled labor through the adoption of modern technology in the farm, which are all outlined in the National Agro-Food Policy (NAFP). There are two objectives from this study. First is to determine the consumption pattern of milk and dairy product among rural, town, and city areas of residents of Sabah, Malaysia during the COVID-19 pandemic. Second is to analyze the relationship between the consumption pattern of milk and dairy product among different household income levels. Okay, next is hypothesis of study. The null hypothesis is there is a significant relationship on consumption pattern of milk and dairy product among different income levels of residents of Sabah, Malaysia during the COVID-19 pandemic. The alternative hypothesis is there is no significant relationship on consumption pattern of milk and dairy product among different income levels of residents of Sabah, Malaysia during COVID-19 pandemics. Chapter 2. Literature Review. In this literature review, I will highlight about concept of consumption pattern of milk and dairy product. To understand how different income groups spend their money on various types of goods such as food, clothing, and other non-essential, economists use concept of consumption patterns. The concept of milk and dairy product is incredibly important for producers to learn so that they may design better sales techniques to encourage people to purchase in the present. Milk and dairy products are consumed by about 6 million people globally, with the majority of these individuals living in developing nations. Next is factor influence consumption pattern of milk and dairy products. First is household size, next is income levels, third is prices, and food habits and costumes. Chapter 3 is methodology. A quantitative research strategy was employed to collect data regarding consumer perception, purchasing behavior, and preference for milk and dairy products from respondents. For this research, the independent variable is the income level group, which is not more than 2000, 2001 to 3000, 3001 to 4000, 4001 to 5000, and more than 5000, as well as the geographic location, which is rural, town, and city area. Consumption pattern of milk and dairy products such as liquid milk, fresh milk, condensed milk, powdered milk, sweetmeats, yogurt, butter, and ice cream were the independent variable in this experiment. Data collected from the respondent were compiled, tabulated, and analyzed using one-way analysis of variance ANOVA and the descriptive statistic with SPSS software in accordance with the study's goal. The overall number of respondents was 64 households who represent a diverse range of races, religions, cultures, and ages. Result and discussion. The average monthly consumption of milk and dairy products of various household income were estimated at 1018 gram, 1425 ml, 978 gram, 815 gram, 527 gram, 468 gram, 522 gram, and 650 gram. Among milk and dairy products, this study showed that there was a significant relationship between consumption of fresh milk with household income levels. The average monthly purchasing in rural, town, and city area of milk and dairy products were estimated at 21.68 ringgit, 27.55 ringgit, 23 ringgit, 29.64 ringgit, 28.04 ringgit, 12.91 ringgit, 17.67 ringgit, and 28.56 ringgit. The average monthly purchasing of powdered milk is higher than other dairy products. The mean monthly purchasing of powdered milk for all groups of rural, town, and city area were estimated at 17.31 ringgit, 28.40 ringgit, and 39.57 ringgit. The highest monthly consumption of milk and dairy product was in the city areas, followed by the town and rural areas. The mean monthly consumption of milk and dairy product in the city areas were estimated at 1,491 gram, 1,576 ml, 1,485 gram, 1,130 grams, 730 grams, 730 grams, 609 gram, and 785 gram. Although the number of the respondent in the town area is more than the number of the respondent in the city region, the overall consumption of milk and dairy product is greater in the city areas. In conclusion, the major allocation of expenditure was devoted to powdered milk, followed by ice cream and fresh milk and other dairy products. Most of the respondents had reduced their consumption on expenditure behavioral during COVID-19 outbreaks. Additionally, the study indicates that individuals of the city area consume more milk and dairy products, and when the income of family member rises, the consumption of milk and dairy products also rises. Most of the respondents chose F&N brand for liquid milk and condensed milk, followed by Marigold, Dairy Champ, Gold Coin, and Carnation. Respondents show that Dutch Lady is the highest preference for fresh milk among the brands, whereas Nestle was the highest for powdered milk, yogurt, and ice cream. Recommendation: increasing Sabah milk market value may be possible by attracting more international investment into the dairy sector. As a result, the number of milk producers has increased, which has resulted in an increase in milk sales as well as work prospects for the people of Sabah, many of whom are believed to be lack of job opportunities.